Good morning, everyone, and today we are going to do the penny oxidation experiment. In this experiment, our materials will be a handful of pennies, a handful of pennies, 1/4 cup of vinegar, which I've already poured into here, several bolts, a plastic spoon, some water, and a tablespoon of salt, which I've already measured out and put into this container. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to pour the vinegar into the bowl, like so. Then we're going to add the salt. We're going to stir with a plastic spoon. Now we're going to add the pennies. And these are dulled old pennies. Now, as you can see, just within a couple of seconds, there is a little bit of lighting on some of the pennies. Alright, we're back after a minute, and I'm going to let you look at the pennies. You can see that the pennies are much shinier, and also a lot of that dullness has gone away. And if you notice something here, with the different types of pennies and the reactions, see here, this penny, which is a 1977 penny, is much clearer than this 1999 penny. And that is because pre-1982, pennies were solid copper. This is actually copper and zinc combined. Now, if I wanted to stop this process, I would go ahead and put it in the water, and that will stop that process. Now, what we also can do is, instead of dropping them into water, we can go ahead and take our pennies and I'm going to go ahead and put these pennies over here on this paper towel, kind of dry them out a little bit, get as much of the water off as we can, get it soaked into that paper towel. And I'm going to drop them back into the solution. And back to our solution here. We'll let them sit for a minute or so. They just need to be covered by the solution. And I'm going to place them, instead of back into the water, I'm going to place them onto the napkin. I will show you what I've done here in a moment once I've gotten them mostly there. here are the pennies. The napkin. We're going to leave those for a little bit, and we're going to come back to them as periodic checks to see if there's any reaction to the pennies sitting here on the napkin without having been put back into the water. Meanwhile, while we're waiting on the pennies to react in the 30-minute time frame, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do something else. We're going to take all the rest of the pennies out of the solution that we had created. And drop them in the. These are just going to go into the water. We'll set that over there. So we have our solution left, and we have our nuts from before that I had shown. These here. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and drop these into the solution. This solution here is a little murky. It's kind of hard to see what's going on with the nuts, but they are definitely nowhere near as shiny, and I'm going to show you here. I'm going to go ahead and pull them out. And if you've noticed before, they were a very shiny silverish color, and now they're definitely a lot darker. This is the final portion of the experiments or the conclusion to our experiments. What we had sitting in the background waiting for several minutes, 30 minutes to be exact, maybe a little bit more, is what happened to our pennies in the solution that weren't put in the water. If you want to go ahead and look, I have right here, these are the pennies. Now, they don't look particularly different. You can kind of see the green going on here. I'm going to put this one to the side real quick. I'll flip them over. And if I flip them over, you can definitely see a lot more green, a lot more of that green or bluish color, depending. Trying to make this in the right spot. So you can see that here, this greenish bluish stuff that's what seems to be growing on it, that is accumulating on it. Our observation had explanations. And those explanations, the dull to shiny pennies are actually oxidized copper around the pennies, what make them dull. The shiny part comes from vinegar, which is acetic acid, and the salt, which is sodium chloride. When this is put together, you get sodium acetate and hydrogen chloride. This quickly removes that copper oxide that is accumulated on those pennies, leaving them pure or more pure and more the shiny metal underneath. Now, this is easier with the 1982 and below pennies because they're pure copper. After that, they are zinc with copper plating. Now, as far as the green pennies go, that's malachite. Malachite is from the chlorine of the salt and the oxygen from the air. An example of this is the Statue of Liberty, which is copper plated. The sea salt gives you the chlorine, and the air gives you the oxidation and creates malachite, that bluish-greenish material that you'd seen accumulate on the penny. Now, as far as the bolts are concerned, they darkened because that copper left in the solution started binding with that metal. Those were our conclusions. Thank you, and have a good day.